Hey, good morning. I'm Ernie Freeman. It's Tuesday, May the 6th.
So Cinco de Seis, right?
Seis de May.
Hey, everybody, I'm Valerie. That's right, no Cinco, yeah. Hey, everybody, I'm Valerie Calhoun. You know, maybe it's just the caffeine situation. All right. So what do you do when Prince Charming turns to Prince Harming? How about that? Amy Lewis Bear found that out the hard way. She's a psychotherapist out of Atlanta who's written a book called From Charm to Harm, and emotional abuse is very real, isn't it?
It is very real, but it's hard to detect because there are a lot of subtleties when it comes to emotional abuse, and you're in a love relationship, so you don't think there's abuse going on, but there is. Abuse is psychological intimidation, and that can be very subtle.
Do the abusers know they're abusing?
Well, their actions are deliberate, but their way of thinking is sometimes subconscious.
Right.
They feel justified in saying and doing things to their spouse to get their way about something. Emotional abuse is about control, and the best way to control someone is to demoralize them and so sort of whittle away at their self-esteem until they're in a weakened state and they can be controlled.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, we hear a lot about domestic abuse, the beating and that kind of thing. You were in a situation like this, which is what led you to study it, I guess, right?
Well, what I like to do is I really like to separate out emotional abuse from physical abuse because there are a number of differences. Emotional abuse can be much more subtle, and emotional abuse is not so obvious. The cuts and bruises are on the inside. With physical abuse, it's pretty obvious that there's abuse going on, but emotional abuse is subtle. I did have early relationships in which there was emotional abuse, but emotional abuse didn't even come into my thinking. I thought it was just a difficult person. I blamed a lot on myself. You know, maybe I'm defective in some way, and that's how it happens.
Wow. You have different names like counterfeiting, brooding. Let's see. You had a great name here. I wanted to mousetrapping.
Mousetrapping. That's emotionally abusive behavior, and then making up for it by giving gifts. But it's only a matter of time before the trap snaps shut and the abuse happens again. There's another term I sort of a play on colorblind. It's called other blind, and that's blind to the humanity of your spouse. You don't consider their needs. You don't consider their feelings. I have almost 100 emotional abuse tactics, and they all have names that I took from popular culture. I made up names. I think you have to know emotional abuse is like an illness. If you don't realize that it's an illness, then you can't treat it.
So will this help you figure out how to make it stop? Can you save the relationships?
Well, that's a very good question.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, first of all, you have to realize what your own psychological issues are, because they intermingle with your abusive partner's issues, and that can be very lethal. Yes, you can get help. There are certain things that you have to know, that you have to be aware of, that you have to accept.
Right.
You can get help for your partner as well, but I'm telling you that people who are emotionally abusive, it comes from some very deeply embedded psychological issues, and they really need to be in treatment in order for them to be aware of what they're doing and how it's affecting their spouse.
Wow, this is fascinating. Do you have a book signing here in the Mid-South somewhere?
Well, I plan on having one, if anybody has any ideas.
You'd love to do it. Where can we buy the book?
The book can be purchased on Amazon.com, all of the online retailers, and it is in some bookstores as well.
We're out of time. Thank you for watching Good Morning Memphis, Charm to Harm. Thank you for joining. It's good to see you.
Thank you, Valerie.
Bye-bye, folks.